Big Audio Dynamite is one musical group that's hard to define. Rock, reggae, rap, house, they seem to do it all with a unique instrumental style and arresting lyrics. The band consists of former Clash member Mick Jones on vocals and lead guitar, video master Don Letts, who, in addition to vocals and a great deal of lyric writing, mixes BAD's plethora of sound effects. Greg Roberts on drums, Leo Easy Kill Williams on bass, and Dan Donovan on keyboards. In the interview that follows, taped in London in early September, the band talks about their new album and their return to the stage after Mick Jones's near-fatal case of pneumonia last year. We'll also be hearing selections from their new album, and in the first part, we'll be talking primarily with Don Letts, in the second with Mick Jones.
Well, I noticed you do a lot more singing on this album.
Everybody does that. I actually do less. Why do everybody say
You
that?
have 2 songs on it. Usually you just have 1.
2? I do? What 2?
You have the first song, or the second song.
Rewind.
And then you have House Arrest.
I could have sung more, but
Well, you've always had a good voice.
I would have liked to have heard more of me, but never mind.
Well, I don't hear you doing any rapping. I hear Mick doing rapping twice.
Yeah, rapping I'm kind of like this, and I don't really see it as kind of a major forte, you know. To me today,
It's fun.
It's fun, yeah. Yeah, I don't really see it as a big thing, rapping. I mean, honestly, anybody could rap. You just need a good rhyming dictionary. What I don't like is normally it's a lot of couplets. I mean, you know, in America, it's about holding your dick in a big gold chain, and that, you know, my brain's a little bit bigger than that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, my biggest organ isn't my dick, it's my head and my brain. Yeah, Woody Allen said, they said my biggest organ is my brain. Get up. Really the best.
Yeah. But he hasn't made any funny films recently.
I know, a little bit serious, but I mean, they say
low budget, too.
The true sign of genius is inconsistency, apparently.
Inconsistency?
Inconsistency.
Yeah.
I said that.
Well, this album is not consistent with the other ones, I don't think.
Right.
It does all that flowing, and really imaginative flowing.
Yeah,
you move all
I
over the
think
place.
it's like taking drugs, having a trip without actually taking the pill. Do you know what I mean? It's actually, we constructed it to have pace and take you up and come down, and then give you a little wave on the second side, and then, you know what I mean, bring you down back.
Can someone do that? Can they experience the thrill of drugs without actually taking the drugs?
Oh, definitely. No, isn't that what meditation and yoga and all that stuff's about? Yeah, definitely. I'm sure you can reach euphoric states if, you know, we weren't living in the city. I'm sure my man, the guru sitting on top of the hill, goes to places that I'll never get to with or without drugs. I mean, you remember that Timothy Leary book, was it? Was that Tibetan Book of the Dead, where he told you how to take certain doses of LSD to reach to get to, it's a shortcut to nirvana or whatever. I always wondered where the hell he could get acid that was that sort of chemically correct. Trying to not to say too much about the drug business, because I'd like the next generation to go drug free, I think.
Yeah, but how are they going to do that? How are they just
bloody great difficulty with all this press about crack. It's funny how the media make it sound like really glamorous, you know. Stuff gets you high in 30 seconds and you're addicted for life, and it's the biggest high you've ever had.
You think that actually makes people want to do it?
If I was a kid, I'd be like, yo, what's the address? Damn right. No, I'd like to see people try free, you know. I mean, all the people that were doing it back in the 60s are now, what are they doing? Running Apple and, you know, managing corporations now, aren't they? Straight as they come.
The segs are tighter, a lot more imaginative.
Right.
And I was wondering what went into that. I hear there's one part on side 2 where it goes through so many things so quickly.
Right.
And
well, I guess, I mean, you know, we're always trying to make like a complete album, not a concept album, something that runs from top to bottom. It's like an experience, not this thing where you got a couple of good tracks and a couple of fillers, you know what I mean? And I think for the first time we've actually got it right. You know, the thing ideally should run as one thing. That's why, for this one instance, maybe CD is better, simply because you can't, you know, you don't have to flip it over.
We've had it like a year to write sound. We've had it all the time.
Yeah.
So we wrote so much stuff, and we picked out the best songs, and there was still a lot of other stuff we just wanted to put on there. So that's what happened. great samples that he wanted to use, but they didn't fit on the song.
So since last
So
August,
it's like,
Since Mick bit the dust with the
Right.
illness, you heard about that?
it's
Yes.
like we've been touring, doing sort of things. We had a lot of time to write a lot of stuff, and we wanted to.
What happened was that while he was ill, we all had a lot more, a lot of opportunity to put in a lot more than we normally do. You know what I mean? Because he got ill, and instead of us taking a break, we just all continued working. So when he got better, he came in and sort of pulled it all together.
now did you record any of the album when he was ill? Or?
No, but what we do is we demo everything in the studio, and well, he's got a little studio in his place. I mean, very minimal situation, but everything is demoed there. Because, you know, you go to these proper studios, and if you sort of go, that costs you like a $5. And you go to the toilet for 5 minutes, it costs you a $10. I mean, a good lesson for would-be musicians or groups is like, you know, you get your stuff right first in your demos. You know, with room for maneuverability, obviously, in the studio, but you should have the bottom line down so you ain't wasting time, because it's too expensive unless you're, you know, some mega group.
Now, had Mick not been ill, how do you think this album would have differed?
That's a very difficult question, because we hadn't been ill.
They're done and gone already.
Well, no, because we'd been still promoting the last album, funny enough. And but that's it, we wouldn't have done this one so quickly. Because when he got ill, we just released an album, he got ill, and that was it. It was all like, we had to forget about it, which is a real shame, because I believe that it entered the American charts quite at a reasonable position. I don't know, 160. The first week, it jumped to like 100, which, you know, which for us, I don't know about anybody in America, but for us it's a good thing. And I think it was the #1 college album for about a month as well, which, as anyone knows in America, is, you know, a good place to build, because basically the college station seemed to be about 3 years ahead of the rest of America. But we weren't able to capitalize on that because of his illness. So we ended up making an album sort of quicker than we anticipated. But I think because of Mick's near-death experience, 'cause that's exactly what it was. I mean, I'm not kidding. He was in intensive care. I mean, it obviously did a lot to his mind. And I think that's reflected on the album, because instead of it being sort of newspaper headlines and maybe a lot of situations that are removed from us, we try to kind of look inside ourselves a bit more. I mean, there are still the odd topical things like James Brown, you know, but basically it's more emotional, I think.
But I've noticed British people seem to have more of an idea of what's going on 5,000 miles away than American people, who are content to be isolated. They don't know other languages.
Yeah, well, that's because America to Americans is the world. And they also know that the world is aspiring to the American way. So, I mean, I can understand the way you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is that true, do you think?
Depends how you look at it.
But don't you think that the rest of the world seems... I mean, look what's happening in China. I mean, this glasnost thing. I mean, the glasnost thing, to me, I think that old Gorbachev's kind of been forced into that situation, because he knows that people want some of that stuff. And if he doesn't give them a bit of slack now, they're going to take it anyway. Do you know what I mean? Everybody wants some of what, you know, they're seeing on the new satellite revolution. You know, with the satellite revolution, having this stuff pumped in front of them, and they want some of that.
Well, there's two fronts. There's the democracy movements, and there's the commercialization.
Right.
McDonald's popping up everywhere.
Right.
It's two different aspects to it all. But with Gorbachev, I see good ideas, but I also see him with all these nationalist movements.
Yeah.
You know, he could very well be in danger.
Right.
From the whole thing.
Well, what I like about him, he's doing things. He's got some kind. He seems to have some kind of vision, and he's not pussyfooting and talking about, oh well, we'll talk about this thing and phase it over 10 years. You know, he's making drastic moves, and I think we need more politicians like that are more adventurous. I mean, an example is like, you know, you got Margaret Thatcher. You know the CFC business. You know the things that are killing the ozone layer in the spray cans and the lead in the petrol.
Okay.
Now she says, which is poisonous, it's killing people, right? Making a hole in the sky that nobody can repair. And she says, what does she say? She says, all right, we'll phase it out over the next 10 years. Now, I didn't notice her talking about phasing out heroin or cocaine or crack. You stop it. It kills. How comes we're not phasing it? You know, we don't stop the CFCs and lead petrol. You know why? Money. You know, and that sort of, I mean, to me, if she wanted to be cool, she'd say, right, I'm stopping production of all CFC. What is it? What's it called in the plans? CFC.
The only thing is that choice of heroin is much far bigger problem.
Dan, a hole in the sky, but no one knows what the effect is.
The actual getting rid of it, they have better chance going around stopping the factory making it than they have stopping all the junkies taking heroin.
Yeah, but junkies, one man killing himself is different to. I don't know. I don't think people really understand this ozone thing. You know, it's an uncalculable formula, situation. They can't predict anything. They don't know. You know, if the Earth goes up in 10 degrees in the next 5 years, we might not have an Earth anymore. You don't debate. You stop it. You know, there's a lot of this thing about where people have all this information and they're not really acting on it. You know, like this old satellite revolution. People say it's going to be great. Everyone will have access to information. Information's useless if you don't do anything with it. Mm-hmm. It just becomes something that me and you can sit there and have a conversation about. We can have a green conversation, feel really cool. Act now. You know, if a guy's running around drunk driving, he's killing your kid, you ain't going to phase him out. You lock him up.
Now, can you use your influence as a popular artist? Well,
again, like I say, artists, I don't believe actually change anything, I have to admit. I think we reflect change and maybe bring things, make them topical. Mm-hmm. And I don't think about world domination. I believe it is in small steps. You know, I try to affect the man next door, and it's like a chain letter. Yeah, maybe it'll spread to the man down the street, and then it expands like that. I mean, I think that's a more realistic approach than trying to beat everybody over the head with a hammer. Mm-hmm. I mean, still, you know, probably much too slow as well. I mean, I think we need drastic, sweeping action.
Mm-hmm. But who's going to start the drastic?
Well, people like I said, Gorbachev seems to have the kind of right idea.
But who's his counterpart in the West?
There isn't one, is there?
No.
That's what I'm saying. And I think, you know, like somebody like Maggie, if she wants to get a lot, even out of greed, they could do it. Do you know what I mean? She could be seen to make some drastic move, like, for instance, I don't know, saying, right, no free petrol tomorrow. That would probably get her a lot of votes. I mean, that would capture the people's imaginations. Mm-hmm. We ain't got time for debate. No, that's Mick and Dan Donovan. That's Dan Donovan. Right. And I believe that's the first official single in America and England. I think, you know, they do this thing where they put out something to kind of get the vibe going. Yeah. Everyone know we're around, and they come with the big guns.
Is Contact? Have you done more songs on the album? That's you and Mick on that song.
Not really. It just happens to be.
Yes, yeah. Everybody has. No, they have. They all put in a lot more.
Yeah. True. I mean, we all did write a lot more. I mean, partly because of what Don said, you know, Mick being ill, and partly because you just naturally progress. You know, you want to write stuff. And when I started off, I was just concentrating on just playing. But now, you know, I want to expand and write songs.
We basically learned a lot more since working with Mick, especially me, because I come from a non-musical background, and I only do the lyrics anyway. I don't come up with tunes.
You say you do the lyrics.
Predominantly, Mick might write some other lyrics as well, but particularly on this album, I had a chance to write more because of his illness. Although Contact was written by Mick. But I enjoy writing the lyrics. I sort of use my film experience to do that.
Yes, tell me about the film. This film.
Well, when I say film, I mean this is a bit of a lie, really. I mean video clips. I mean I've done.
But you just have a film out now, right?
No, I've starred in a film for Channel 4 which actually hasn't been released yet. But that's something else.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to make videos. I made about 150 videos. I made all the Clash videos and the whole spectrum more. But I got fed up with that and joined Big Audio Dynamite.
Yeah. And you also had a record out before Big Audio Dynamite.
God.
I found it.
Oh, God.
Last time I talked to you, you said you didn't have any records out before that, but I
was very proud of that record.
Oh, God. No, I'll tell you quickly. That's the public steel leg thing. Yeah, that was never supposed to be released, that thing. I was in the studio with some Public Image. I went away on holiday, I come back, and they put it out on vinyl. I could not believe it. And I was literally sitting in a room going, like, just messing around. And they released it.
Well, we played it, and someone requested it the next week.
Really?
Yeah.
Do we have Don Letts and Mick?
Well, we told them who you were.
He was in the group before. He was in the group called the Basement 5. Yeah, that's a medium success over here. In fact, Dan hasn't been in the group before. I think Greg's done a few things before. But we're all kind of... I mean, this is actually, in a funny way, a baby group. I mean, we've only been around for 4 years.
How would you say you've changed since the beginning of VAD? First album. What's different about the band now?
Guys, have we changed since the first album? What's different about the band now?
Yeah, we're more involved.
The bitchiness has increased. The volume of the arguments has increased.
Creative disputes
Have increased. The solo albums around the corner. No, seriously. I think we've all of us have sort of grown musically and artistically. I mean, when we first did it, we were in awe of Mick. I mean, you know, Mick's got some serious history, which, you know, it's hard to compete with. But I think we've all sort of found our own feet now, and we're all contributing equally. You know, as opposed to, I mean, when it started, I mean, basically Mick cracked the whip, you know, which was fair enough. But now it's a little bit more democratic. Or is it a benign dictatorship? Which one is it?
That's my quote.
It's lost now.
Sack for that.
Mick, I mean, see, I love reggae music, but the band is sort of, I guess, more
First
rock and roll, hip hop and
he
rock
doesn't
and roll.
like reggae so much. When the Clash were into reggae, Scar now, he was
Solo album, folks, you'll see it.
into hip hop.
Don Letts in full effect.
I noticed Mick doing some rapping on this album.
Yeah, he had a go on James Brown. Yeah, not bad, is it?
No.
Not bad at all.
No.
You wait to see the video, you'll die. In the video, we do this spoof. You know James Brown's famous cloak routine?
Yeah.
We do that, and Mick drops to his knees, like, throw the cloak over him. Yeah, it's all right.
What do you think? Do you think James Brown has gotten a bad deal, or?
Well, if the guy goes around shooting people up and stuff like that, my man broke the law. I mean, what we're basically saying there though, is that James Brown's a man like everybody else. You know what I mean? And sure, he's had a bad period, but damn, has he had a great one as well. I mean, he made, if not just America dance, he's made the whole world dance. And okay, he's done a few misdemeanors, but you know, we've got to give the guy a break and think about the good stuff, not the bad stuff. There's been a lot of emphasis on the angel dust and shooting up his girl's coat and all that stuff. I mean, the guy's a dude, like, you know, who suffers pressures like everyone else. And yeah, it's just paying respects to James, really.
The refrain, it's a man's world in America.
Well, obviously taken from his lyrics, but we're trying to kind of say that, you know, maybe the American way isn't just a dream. Maybe sometimes it's a nightmare. Well, that's a good quote, wasn't it? The excess, competition, and the extremes. I mean, America's full of all those things. Well, crack being, I mean, I wouldn't name a drug specifically, but everything you do is always more and bigger and better and more extreme and more excessive. And I guess that's got to catch up with you sometimes.
Any other songs you want to point to on this album as perhaps having hidden meaning, or
anybody got any favourites? I mean, one particular favourite of mine is Everybody Needs a Holiday. Which is about me and Mick. It's me venting my anger in a funny kind of way. Any other favourites?
I like Stand Up One, I like the last track on the album actually. I really like
Oh yes. So it's a funny album. If you ask us this question now, we're going to end up saying everything.
Right.
We'll say everything except I hate House Arrest. But
that's your song.
Yeah. Well, I wrote a lot of the others as well.
You always say it's his song.
I think Rewind as well, because that kind of, that's the first song on the album, kind of sums up where we are.
That's your song too, right?
Yeah.
Where we are now.
We're on the ground, pretty good.
All right. See, that's the thing. If you start asking us this question, I'll tell you the truth. I'm going to say everything except House Arrest. I mean, really,
House Arrest is happening, man.
No, but I mean, we really are happy with this album. It's for the first time it really is complete.
No, next studio.
Yeah, for me it's Green Lady, Around the Girl in 80 Ways, and Everybody Needs a Holiday for me.
Is Green Lady aimed at somebody? It was just...
Well, it's actually something I sort of dreamed up. It's about, do you know who Tetrakoff is? He's a painter.
Yeah.
Who did this famous painting called The Green Lady, which they sell in really cheap stores like Woolworths. You've got Woolworths in America, right? And apparently it's the biggest selling print ever. I don't know if you know that. Do you know the picture I'm talking about?
I think I've seen it.
You undoubtedly have.
It's in that Hitchcock movie.
Is it? Which one?
The one, Lovely.
Is it?
Yeah, it's on the wall.
Friends, yeah. Anyway, it's a very famous picture, and I don't know, the sort of scenario is it's about some guy who lives in a council flat that obviously has never even crossed the channel, but has this total fantasy about the Orient through this picture. That's what it's about.
And then you have a song about Chinatown too. But is it about more than just Chinatown? Or?
It isn't just about Chinatown. It's about alienation and things like that.
Yeah.
There was one night when me and Mick went down to... It's funny. you've got a lot of minorities in this town, and most of them you have some kind of rapport with, you know, even if it's only if you're bad with the Greeks or, you know, Jamaicans, and I mean, everyone, there's some kind of connection. And it occurred to us when we were stuck in Chinatown 3 o'clock one morning that the Chinese really are one set of people that really are on their own. You know, I mean, it's a community that you can't sort of break into.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And I don't know with
close knit.
I think it's
yeah, but I mean, but the Indians are close knit too. But I feel like, you know, I can have a chat with them or whatever. But the Chinese, like, we were in a restaurant, and you realise that you're on your own, and you felt alienated in your own town, which isn't a racist thing, just sort of stating a fact, really.
I think that's the same true. All Chinese communities work in the whole world.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, we can only talk about our experience here.
Really,
But I like that. I like the way they kept their community, and they brought a bit of China in the middle of London, and it's a bit of China.
Talk about the British.
Oh, it's really hard to speak about the British, because I was born here, so I've got this kind of duality where, you know, my heart is African, and I can't deny that I have English roots, just as any of these guys, you know. We share a common experience. We both watch the same, we both seen the EastEnders and things like that, you know what I mean? Oh man, that's a whole other interview. Really, English. I like a cup of tea. I love a cup of tea. That's one of the best things about the English. And I mean, I think all the things that, if you want to know what's wrong with the English, go and see A Fish Called Wanda. There you go. I mean, I think Mr. Cosner, is it not Cosner?
Please.
No, the American. What's his name?
Kevin Kline.
Klein. Klein?
I think who? The actor?
Yeah.
Kevin Kline.
Yeah, I think he's got it right. You remember the way he was like, you English was so stuck up, arrogant bastard. I mean, I think he got it really right.
But some English are in the upper class. It's kind of a weird picture that's painted for us. I assume when I came over here that at 4 o'clock or so everybody just dropped everything and had tea. That's the way it's presented. We only get the you know, the BBC programs.
It's all working. Yeah.
Well, that's a sort of quaint English view that Americans have. But in fact, you know,
that's what we want to believe.
Yeah. Well, you know, but in fact, hey,
what Americans don't realise, like the upper class, is all totally raving mad.
And they smoke and they take crack.
Centuries been breathing.
And we got crack. We got 7-Eleven. We got McDonald's. What else have we got? We got MTV. You know, we're in trouble.
You said the British. You seem to have a common bond with other people in England. That's something I've noticed since I've been here. The people seem to be more of the same kind of spirit.
Well, there's a mix. Yeah, there's a crossover. Yeah, it's funny because that's what I think makes England special, as opposed to, like in New York, the only reason the minorities mix is because Manhattan is so small that you can't help but mix, you know, in passing. But there's not so much actual crossover of ideas. Whereas I think here there is.
I see a lot more integration, natural integration.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. In New York, it doesn't really, I mean, your sectors are still, you know what I mean? Everyone's still sort of isolated. I mean, you've got your Ricans and your blacks and your wasps and whatever. I don't know what the terminologies are anymore. I'm lost.
There's all kinds.
I haven't read Bonfire of the Vanities yet. It's here too, by the way. Let me tell you this. I'm not beefing about America. It's here very much too. Then you've got this thing where, you know, Margaret Thatcher's like selling the greed policy, making a lot of people wealthy. And the consequence of that is that the poor people start fighting amongst themselves. They look for scapegoats as to why I'm unemployed, you know, or maybe it's because there's a load of blacks came over in the 50s, even though a white politician asked them to come.
You mentioned Margaret Thatcher for a moment.
Yeah, sorry I gave her the airtime, but anyway.
I haven't seen very much about Maggie in the band songs. I'm just curious. Well, she seems like such a ripe target.
Yeah, but it's almost too easy. It's too easy, you know, like everyone going, Reagan. You know what I mean? Like you had Reagan there.
Yeah.
And Reagan was a front. I mean, he was only carrying out what some committee said, look, this is the way we go. And it's easy to sort of, you know, use Thatcher or Reagan. They're indicative of a climate that's around anyway. I mean, put it this way, if Thatcher dropped dead tomorrow, her policies and her ideology would not die tomorrow. There's a lot of people that believe in that. And, you know, greed's a hard one to beat, and that's what she's selling.
And you think it's going to remain popular for a while?
She ain't going to go away, man. People have got the taste of money, and money is God, it looks like, unfortunately.
I think America did the same thing in South Africa.
I think there should be a bloody revolution in South Africa tomorrow. I think that, put it this way, history shows me that no time in the world Has there ever been a situation like that where people said, okay, let's sanction or let's have passive talks and we'll phase it out over 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
I know if there was an English colony over there being hassled by a bunch of foreign people, she'd have her guns over tomorrow and a propaganda machine, and the English would be free, like the Falklands. But South Africa, we'll talk about it and phase it out. As far as I'm concerned, as long as South Africa exists, every black man on this planet is a second-rate citizen. I got a child. When he grows up, I'm going to have to sort of explain to him why there's slaves in some part of the world, and it's it's a trip.
Well, how about something like Artists Against Apartheid? Is that effective?
It's a funny thing, that stuff. I mean, you can't knock something that's highlighting a bad situation. How it transposes into reality, into real effects, that's the bit I'm concerned about. I know a lot of people that appeared on that thing sold a lot of records. I know that. There's this new thing I call coffee table conscience, where it's like topical for a couple of weeks, and then you don't care because the man isn't dead on your doorstep. And when he's dead on your doorstep, then you might make a move.
I see some kind of sarcastic patriotism in this.
Yeah,
that's right, isn't it?
You get patriotic when they're bombing the Falklands.
Yeah.
But really, patriotism should be used to make the country strong, the people strong. They say God Save the Queen is the anthem. I say God Save the People first.
Exactly.
The Queen, she's okay.
Yeah.
All for one and one for all, man. And if we support them, they should support the people.
How does it all relate to football?
Football, well, it's one of those nationalistic games where they all get patriotic and they get out there and support their team. Do you know what I mean?
Replacement for war?
Sorry?
Replacement for war?
Yeah, I guess it's not a bad idea. I never really thought about that. But I just noticed that you have this fanaticism for something like games, but you don't have the fanaticism for some of the social injustices that are happening around. I don't know if you know much about England, like the national health and things like that, privatisation and things like that. All these things are slipping by, and in the end, the only thing people get excited about is playing football. Do you understand what I mean? And if they could put that enthusiasm into things like nurses not getting paid enough and things like that, if they could put that enthusiasm and that support into that, things would be better. So I'm thinking about sort of redirecting that enthusiasm for things that will help everybody.
Your country needs you to do more than just play football.
Right, that's what it is, yeah. That is sarcasm, that line, to play football,
yeah.
I've never been to a football match in my life because it's quite a racist thing over here.
Is it?
Yeah, there's a lot of big racist factions.
Well, I know in Scotland it's Catholic versus Protestant.
Right, well in England, in London, obviously the teams hate each other, but there's this racist thing as well, a lot of national front people.
So in America, we don't really understand that because teams, they trade people left and right.
Yeah. There's black people in the teams here, but there's a lot of racism in national front and that in football still. I mean, I've never been to a match.
Yeah. They shout monkey stuff.
Yeah, and they shout all kind of abuse at the black players and all that stuff.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, even the black players are scoring all the goals, but.
You did a song once before where you mentioned violent support's going to ruin the game. Ticket, I believe it was.
God, all these songs I don't like. All the Ringo Starr songs I said. Yeah, Joe Strummer was on that one. He's got a new record coming out. Joe Strummer, check it out, everybody. A good man. I love him.
Have you worked with outsiders on this record at all?
We never do. And Joe was an exception. No, we do everything ourselves. If we can't do it, we don't do it.
You're listening to an interview with members of Big Audio Dynamite. For the remainder of this hour, we'll be speaking with lead guitarist and vocalist Mick Jones, former member of The Clash. His near-death experience last year has profoundly affected his outlook on life.
Have you lived in London all your life?
Yeah.
And this is your home? You feel very comfortable?
Yeah. It's like a love-hate thing, you know what I mean? There's lots of things I really like about it. There's some things I don't like about it as well.
Do you think the things that you don't like are changeable? Or?
I think overall there seems to be some sort of change, you know, things like the thing that you can't ignore the will of the people, really, and that it may be seeming like going a bit slow, but like things like South Africa and you know, I don't think there seems to be some change going on. You know, slow progress, perhaps, but something seems to be going on. You know,
well, do you think
overall, like I just heard that the Americans have stopped giving aid to the Contras. Is that true?
Supposedly, but we've done that a few times
But
already.
that's the same sort of thing, you know what I mean? It's like, I see that as like a positive step, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That not enough people will back that. Not enough people will back what's going on in South Africa. You know, and that's the same here, really. There's some wild things going on here that's totally outside of the authorities' control.
Such as
The house thing.
Acid House?
Yeah.
That how
Which I
recent a
see as
phenomenon?
an incredible, like, positive thing that's going on.
We're not familiar with this in the States, at least not by this name. Could you sort of explain what the
I
whole
can't
scene is?
really. Alright, I'll try and explain. You know that, like in South American Indians,
Yeah.
they go into the jungle and they go into a hut and they take drugs and they dance and sing about and get into this like kind of like extended state of like intense energy, just like that. And people, like, the law don't know where it's happening and they don't know what is happening. You know what I mean? In that way, it's just like punk because they didn't know what was going on then either.
They just don't understand.
No.
There's no way they can
People
relate.
in positions of authority.
You said in a couple of magazines I read that you've seen things in a different way. You feel you're saying things now that you weren't able to say before.
I personally feel that way, you know, because of my personal experiences.
Can you go into that a little bit? How has it changed you? Because it's something we all go through at some point, I think.
It's hard to explain because there isn't very much on the outside that actually shows much difference, you know.
Yeah.
It all looks much the same as it always was. The same inside.
After going through such an experience, you feel more comfortable with the big picture of life?
I feel more in, I don't know, I think I'm more in place.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe perhaps.
Musically, how would you say you've changed since the late 70s?
My voice has got a bit deeper. A lot of these groups now aren't really groups, are they? And they're also just a bunch of knob twiddlers, aren't they? They're twiddling with their knobs, right, when they should be like playing their guitar. But they can't play the guitars, can they? Because they can't play guitar.
No.
So they don't like guitar in that sort of music, in dance music, because they can't play it. But one of our things is that we're trying to put guitar into a contemporary context, you know, dance context. I think we do it quite well on this new record, you know, that's one of the things that we've tried to achieve. You know, like, sure, to do dance music, but to have really good songs as well, not just average songs, but good rhythms.
Right.
So we'd have good dance rhythms, we'd have a good song, and we'd have rock and roll guitar on it. And you know about all the other stuff. So that's what we try to achieve with this record.
You seem to like a lot of old films.
Old British films, specifically.
Yeah?
Yeah, and some 60s ones. And some 70s ones as well. You know, I'm sort of like, I really like Lindsay Anderson as well. You know, obviously Nicholas Roeg we liked. And
Captain Scarlet.
that's right, yeah. I like all that stuff too.
I think there's something special about British productions. And if so, what?
I don't know. I think ours is like a real sort of British job, you know. Ours is sort of, it sticks out that it is, you know, as opposed to some, we're not trying to be American or anything. Even when we're singing an American type song, it's like some geezer from South London singing it, you know, James Brown. But it's like, it's like our viewpoint, you know, I mean, from over the pond. But I was, when we were doing the record, I wanted it to be English, you know. Have English things that we all relate to. You know, we have this like common background of experience, and we immediately like the little tune at the end of the record is like from Watch with Mother, which what we all watched when we were children.
Thank you.
Immediately, as soon as we hear that, it sort of sends us into a feeling of comfort and childhood.
Really?
You know, and that's why it sort of drifts off at the end. Like,
One thing I've noticed about England since I've only been here for the first time, you have 4 channels basically on TV, and everybody seems to have seen the program the night before. It's not like in America we have hundreds of stations. So there's a kind of togetherness.
What togetherness or mass hypnotism?
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Where we're all television's the opium of the masses, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're all stoned on it. Or there's a togetherness. We all understand. We all sort of like the program last night, and we all come in and we talk about it the next day. You know what I mean? And everybody like airs their opinion, but it's only within that one thing. You know, we need to turn the television off, really.
Since the first album with DAD, what have you learned since then? Has it gone?
I've learnt sort of it's basically the same, always the same, over and over again. No matter how hard you try not to repeat the past mistakes, you do repeat them. And there's nothing we can do about it. We never learn.
Well, that was one of my questions. What kind of mistakes have you made?
What ones? What kind have you got?
Musical, personality?
Yes.
Tactical errors?
Yes.
Errors?
All those things, definitely. I wouldn't like to specify things, you know. Certainly, it's quite painful to have to sort of mull over it, you know.
Yeah.
But it's there all the time, you know. Some things you know you did, which you didn't do, and some things it always seems where you think you can do it better than what we did, or something. Or always trying to achieve a bit more. And then sometimes you're over ambitious because you are.
Yeah.
It's all like pitfalls.
But you have learned too, and there are some things you have been able to.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think I've learned to try to give listening people who listen to your record a thrill, you know, not to try and be too what's the word? Trying to change the way they listen. I'd rather do it the other way around. You know what I mean? Like, do something they'd like to listen to. I think the part of it is you have to be excited yourself.
As far as the 4 albums that have come out, what are particular points on the albums that you think are good accomplishments? You know, the high points. And the low points too, if you want to mention.
I think that the high point was the was the first album. And the second album we sort of went down a bit like that, you know what I mean? And then we went along as a plateau for the third album, and then we sort of come up again for another high point of the fourth one.
Yes.
That's an overview of the whole thing. Brief synopsis.
Yeah. Any particular songs though you want to point to? I think Medicine Show is probably your crowning glory. So was The Party. I like that a lot. And All Saints Road, I think, was probably the best thing since Medicine Show.
Yeah, I don't see it quite like that, because you try and do your best when you're doing whatever you're doing, you know, you try and always do your best, so that's how it seems to you, but I sort of see it as that each one is an overall picture, really. And so I and it also it sort of corresponded with that response to the records, you know what I mean? When we first came out, it was like a big exciting thing, you know. A lot of people got the second record on the strength of the first record and didn't even bother to get the third one, you know what I mean? So it was much harder for us, you know, second album crisis, third album crisis, fourth album crisis. And also we had to write material, like we had a year's worth of material on the first one before we recorded, you know, but then you sort of finish that one and you sort of go out and promote it, and then you find you haven't got any time to write the second one. And we wrote the second one in about 6 weeks, and then just quickly did it, you know. And then we had a rethink, but it wasn't a proper rethink, it seems, for the third one. Because I really thought we could probably change the way that people were listening. And it was came out last summer, and last summer the whole thing started happening over here, so we was all out of step with everything. We've made our record and it all started happening, you know what I mean? I originally meant that we would do a house record, but somehow we got waylaid on that one. Let's got closer to it, this one, on what I really originally intended to do, even on the last one. I needed something like me going to the hospital or something in order to get it sorted out, really.
Do you think that in the long run will actually help?
Oh yeah. A lot. Well, I don't know about helping the band, but it certainly helps me.
Yeah.
Didn't help the band much when it was happening.
No.
You know what I mean? It's like a drag for everybody.
What other bands do you think are... DAD seems pretty unique. You know, I can't really...
Yeah, we are. But there's other unique bands that, you know, are doing something. Like I see like the post-house thing, they're trying to take it to the next step, you know.
Yeah.
There's groups like Happy Mondays, I'd say De La Soul, I really like that.
They're upbeat.
Very, and I like I like things where the ideas are fresh and they show, the ideas come out of it, you know. That's what excites me.
Groups like NWA, Public Enemy, what do you think of them?
Not really. I don't know, it's not for me to say really, it's not my field, but it seems like it's like you've got to know a lot of stuff and to get all your facts right and do your research and all that, you know, and it takes it away from there's other ways of saying those things, I think, you know, it takes away the entertainment value or something. I don't know, I think there's a lot of people where they try and like achieve what that is all about, you know what I mean? They aspire towards what they're going on about. We're going backwards here. I like to try and do something which is like positive, which can go towards a bigger thing, you know what I mean? Which is one thing which we can use towards a bigger thing of a togetherness, you know.
It's the same thing where you want to shock people with the music and the lyrics.
But I don't want to put swearing on our records.
No.
You know what I mean? Because I think I kind of see it as kind of a crude
but you have.
way. We have done in the past, but we haven't now. You know, I see it as, I don't like it. But our record is totally like positive in every way as regards to like how I used to listen to music. It was very instructional to me. You know what I mean? They told me how they lived. You know, when I was listening to like the Stones or the Beatles, you know what I mean? And they told me how we might be able to live. You know what I mean? And they helped me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it helped. It was part of my life. You know, and that influence on me is the same kind of thing which I'm trying to do now. You know, and like do that sort of thing. It goes right back. The influences, but it's even those things, the things that we're into from before, are dragged into a contemporary context on our record. You know what I mean? It's how I like to hear Hank Williams.
Is that list of credits?
It's very important.
Is that something you've been holding back for a while?
It's funny because I saw this thing that you know, Do the Right Thing.
Yeah.
The movie. Well, there's a great scene where there's a DJ and he's overlooking everything and he's like just saying the names of all these different artists, you know. And it sounds like at first it's like saying he's advertising a rap gig or something. It's like Boogie Down Productions, you know. I can't think of it. Cool Mo D, and then all of a sudden the camera moves and it goes over this elderly lady, and it changes from those kind of rap people to like Alberta Hunter, Ornette Coleman, and it's just a list as he's going out over the street, and it was like, and at the end it's like, thank you, you know, you've made our lives much better, and it was always a statement, and they were all black artists, but ours aren't. But it was a very similar idea, you know, that all these things had helped to make it. I thought that was one of the best bits in the film.
Sounds very positive.
And it thought it was exactly the same thing that he was saying there, that what we were trying to say we're doing now.
So you look upon the record itself as a kind of a tribute.
I think that's a little crawly, bumlick. And I really like that. A tribute is a bit much, you know what I mean? What I really mean is that we have like an eye on the future. We're sort of in the present, and it's a nod to the past, you know what I mean? But we haven't just sort of like... A tribute would be B.A.D. cover Hoagie Carmichael's greatest hits, you know what I mean? Or like The Bridge, Neil Young record, right? Where everybody else did Neil Young songs. This isn't a tribute. This is like... saying, it's kind of saying that, look, this is where we come from, this is where we are, and this is where we're going.
Why is it so few bands want to do that? As far as acknowledging?
I don't know, because they think they just bees knees themselves, don't they? But we're sort of made up of all those things. It's the way we put it together that makes it unique.
What's 1,000 shades of grey?